Young. I work for that gentleman right over there, United States Senator Mike Rounds, as a Veterans Affairs Specialist. And today we're going to take a moment and present posthumously the Purple Heart, a World War I Victory Medal with battle clasps, a World War I Victory Button, which is silver, for World War I veteran Private Harry Greenestein. Accepting the awards this morning is Private Greenestein's son, Joel. And so before we go any further, I'm going to ask Joel to come up and introduce his family and friends.
Gotta get my card here. Sorry.
This is a big deal, and I'm going to tell you this several times, but thank you for being here because this is a very special day. Voting jurors.
Thank you, Bob. All you veterans, thank you, thank you, thank you for your service to this great country that we live in. My name is Joel Green. I came to South Dakota in the year 1990. I worked for the federal government as an investigator for the IRS. I personally like to thank my family, Deidre and Will Kaiser, their two young children, sitting right here. The veterans that I've invited, Caleb Decker, United States Army, Mike Clark, veteran U.S. Air Force, Vietnam, my friend and neighbor. I want to say a few words about Mike. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't all be standing here right now, because Mike said, you know those medals of your dad, you can get those replaced. This is a 3.5-year journey we were on. Mike Clark, I thank you so much, Mike. And his wife, Shar. Gil Van Beek, my neighbor, 41 years with the Air National Guard. Served in 15 countries, and 50 of these United States. Thank you for your service, Bill. Jack Mortensen, are you here? No. Mike Coulter. Mike, are you here? Mike, did you serve in the Army? Marines, thank you for coming here. His wife is Dr. Kathy Coulter, principal of multiple schools. I worked with her for over 10 years as a volunteer tutor, which I'm still doing, by the way. I want to thank Senator Rounds for coming here, and for his 3 staff members, Bob DeYoung, Sarah Meyer, and Matt Yetter. Are they all here?
No, Matt's not here.
Okay. They have worked tirelessly for 3.5 years. You can imagine how hard it is to reproduce records from World War I, many of which don't even exist anymore. Halfway into this journey, the National Archives rejected the request for replacement of these medals, and we never gave up. Senator Rounds' office never gave up, and that's why we're all here today. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So, I was going to give a little history on this too, because, well, Joel came to the office on 19 July, actually, 2020, and he talked to my coworker, Sarah, about retrieving his father's records to include, the medals he earned. And I will tell you, he's not kidding with the National Personnel Records Center, several conversations back and forth, letters, the state of New York, Department of Veterans Affairs, and even one-on-one conversations with our Department of Defense liaisons out in DC. And It's, what do I want to say here? It's been a team effort, a test of patience, and that's why we do the job. So, next, I want to give you a little history on Harry, Joel's dad, and which I think you're going to find quite interesting. So, Joel's dad, Harry Greenestein, was born in Odessa, Russia, on September 24th, 1894. He immigrated to the United States through Ellis Island. He voluntarily joined the United States Army on the February 25th of 1918 in New York City, New York. So at that time, Private Greenestein was a member of Company Lima, Company L, 305th Infantry Regiment of the 153rd Infantry Brigade of the 77th Infantry Division. Shortly after his enlistment, he was sent to Camp Upton, New York for basic training, and then Private Greenestein and his regiment departed the United States, headed for France on the 16th of April of 1918. And they traveled aboard the RMS Cedric. I haven't figured out what the RMS stands for yet, but it's a British ship, and I don't know if it's the Royal Majesty's ship or just what, so we'll just leave it at RMS. So, August 19th, 1918 happened. Private Greenestein and his regiment were hit with an artillery barrage that included mustard gas. Luckily, he survived, spent a week recuperating off the front lines, but returned to his unit 5 days later, on the 24th. After the armistice was signed on 11 November of 1918, that ended the hostilities of World War I, Private Greenestein and his regiment began movement to the port of Brest, France. On the 18th of April of that year, they boarded HMS Aquitania and headed back to the United States, and they arrived at the port of New York on the 24th of April. Private Greenestein and his regiment, they headed up to Camp Mills, New York for their final op processing, and Private Greenestein received an honorable discharge on May 9th, 1919. So, what's interesting about this is Private Harry Greenestein was a member of the Immigrant Army. The 77th Infantry Division was nicknamed the Melting Pot Division because the majority of its members came from New York City, and the recruits represented all races and creeds. These men had only recently been subjected to the pogroms of their own country, like Russia, gunmen and gangsters, but within this unit there was Russians, Jews, Irish, Chinamen, Italians. It was a truly, representative mass of New York City at the time. So, what also is very interesting about this is the 77th Infantry Division, their shoulder sleeve insignia featured the image of the Statue of Liberty. The choice of this insignia symbolized how those same immigrants who sought freedom in the United States now served overseas to protect that freedom. So with this integration of non-citizen soldiers, Congress passed legislation allowing for the expedited naturalization of foreign-born members of the military. So this opportunity, allowed more than 300,000 immigrant soldiers to eventually become citizens of the nation they swore to defend. So Harry Greenestein became a naturalized citizen of the United States on the 27th of December, 1920. So at this time, I'm going to ask Senator Rollins and Joel to come forward here, and we're going to talk about or do the presentation. We're going to, like I said, we're going to give away present Joel with 3. I'm going to talk about them, what they are, and then we're going to talk about the Purple Heart. So the first thing is a World War I victory button, okay? It's a 5-pointed star, and it's 5/8 of an inch in diameter on a wreath with the letters US in the center. For servicemen wounded in action, the lapel button is silver. For all others, the lapel button is bronze. So, Joel, here's the silver World War I victory button. Okay, next, the World War I Victory Medal with battle clasps. This medal was awarded to military personnel for service between April 6, 1917 and November 11, 1918 the American Expeditionary Forces in France. The colors of the World War I Victory Medal, it has a red center with a rainbow on each side of the center stripe and a purple edge. The double rainbow symbolizes the dawn of a new era and the calm which follows the storm. Now on there's 3 battle class. One says France, serving in that country. Another one says Loisian, that's French, I don't know if I'm saying it right. And then there's a defensive sector battle class too, and those are for noting the campaigns and operations served. So, next. Now we're going to award the Purple Heart. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read the order, and then I'm going to read what's on the certificate. Okay, so attention to orders. The Department of the Army, Human Resources Command issues Permanent Order 320-0003, dated 16 November 2023. Greenestein, Harry, service number 169er-157, Private, Company L, 305th Infantry Regiment, 153rd Infantry Brigade, 77th Division, American Expeditionary Forces, France. The announcement is made for the Purple Heart. Date 19 August 1918. The authority, Army Regulations 600-8-22, paragraph 2-8, and the reason for wounds received as a result of hostile action. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Damian R. Tong, Major, Adjutant General's Corps, Chief, Awards and Decorations Branch, Human Resources Command. Now, we'll present the certificate. And it states, the United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that the President of the United States is awarded the Purple Heart. Established by General George Washington at Newburgh, New York, August 7, 1782, to Private Harry Greenestein, Company Lima, 305th Infantry Regiment, 77th Division, for wounds received in action on 19 August 1918 in France. This award is given under my hand in the city of Washington, the 16th day of November, 2023, and it's signed Brigadier General Gregory S. Johnson, the Adjutant General, United States Army Human Resources Command, and Christine E. Wormuth, our Secretary of the Army. Congratulations. So, at this time, I give the mic over to you, Senator.
Let me, just very briefly, first of all, Harry, thank you for taking the time to work your way through this and to allow us to share with everybody here the importance of recognizing that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for young men and women who put themselves in harm's way. In Congress, we talk about what the most important things are that we're supposed to be doing. I think sometimes in the middle of the discussions about politics and everything else, we forget that the reason that we have a country in the first place, and the reason why we have a national government in the first place, is the defense of our country. That could never happen without young men and women who wear the uniform of the United States of America and put themselves in harm's way. Today, we have a chance to recognize one individual who did just exactly that. And when you think about it, he wasn't even a citizen of this country yet, but he came here for an opportunity. Today, we also recognize that not only did he put himself in harm's way, but he was injured. He was attacked. Artillery was sent to right where he was at. Mustard gas was used, which was illegal then and it's illegal today, but he suffered from that. When he survived it, he came home. He wanted to become a citizen of the United States of America, the country that he had already fought to defend. What a powerful message that is for all the rest of us. We are a nation of immigrants. And sometimes we have to be reminded where we all have come from. We've come together, we join together, we can celebrate our roots, but we should always celebrate our citizenship and our communion together as members, as citizens of these United States of America. Today, Harry, you've given us an opportunity to actually celebrate once again what your father did, and an example to everybody else here about what bravery is, and young men who were scared to death, but who put themselves in harm's way. Today, it's not just young men, but it's men and women who do that, and we should never forget to say thank you to them for their service and to their families for their sacrifice as well. So today, congratulations on receiving once again in front of the whole crew here those very, very much earned recognitions of his service to our country. Thanks for letting us be a part of it. Thank you. Thank you.
Joel?
Joel.
You want to make a few more remarks?
These two documents, one is his natural citizenship papers, had it laminated. This is his discharge. We had it pieced together before it was laminated. Just want to say a few words about my father. When my father came to this country, he was illiterate. He spoke fluent Russian, but he never could even read or write English. My mother, who was also born in Europe, taught him how to sign his name. He had PTSD when nobody knew what it was. So I grew up with a father that for some things, for example, learning how to drive, this was his example or idea of how I'm going to teach my son how to drive. I would sit on the passenger side, he'd be driving, he says, grab hold of the wheel and drive. I failed my driving test 3 times. I passed the written test, but my sister was 17 years older than I, my brother was 12 years older than I. To get away from my father with his PTSD, my sister didn't even wait to graduate high school. At the end of her junior year, she moved from New York City to Connecticut to work in a munitions plant making weapons for World War II. My brother joined the Army. As soon as he graduated high school, went off to Japan at the end of World War II to serve in the occupation of Japan. And here's me, all by myself, growing up with a father who was actually nice to me, but not to my brother and sister, and I never to this day have figured that out. So I just want to say another word. I've spoken to my relatives. I lived all over this country when I worked for the federal government. This is the only state in the country where a United States Senator would come to personally deliver these medals. And for that, I tell you, we are so thankful to have this gentleman as our esteemed United States Senator, and I can't thank him enough and his staff. Never. And I thank you all for coming here for this really unique situation. I'll leave these up here if anybody would like to examine them, but I thank you all for coming here. I'm sorry if I didn't introduce everybody by name, but I thank you for coming.
Well, again, thank you. I want to thank everybody again for being here. Thank you, Joel. I want to put a shout out to the Alliance. You guys are great. Thanks for having us. And some coffee and some rolls in the back there. And let's have a little fellowship and root for the Jackrabbits. Okay? Thank you.